Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our fourth interview of the day. Joining me today from Revell Models is Mr. Michael Revell. Come on, KR. We're doing well here today.
Good start.
Good start, absolutely. Now, first of all, you've brought me three wonderful models. Let's start with the one that is most associated with KR models, and that, of course, is the GT3.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, for those people that don't know it, what was so different about GT3?
Well, a lot of people see the front end as pretty diesel-like, and then they see the tender and they see, steam reminiscent, and in actuality it's neither. It's a gas turbine.
Yeah.
Yeah, ran off kerosene.
And you've been able to do this in sound. How did you manage to get the sound files?
Difficult. It was very difficult. We actually had a 5-inch gauge GT3 from Tim Cole, who actually has a gas turbine engine inside of it. So we used that to record the sound.
Well, that would have given you a certain amount of authenticity. Now, of course, it only really appeared in the brown livery, didn't it?
Correct, yeah.
But you've come up now with three new what-ifs.
That's right, yes.
So which one are we looking at here?
So this is the BR Black GT3.
Okay.
So it has the BR emblem on the tender, complete black chassis, black body, white running plate, and red lining along the foot plate.
Okay. Now, two more liveries coming down the tracks as well. What are the other two?
So we also have BR Green.
Okay.
So similar design, just in green. And we also have LMS Black.
LMS Black, and that's liveried up as LMS?
Correct, yes.
Okay, let's get her on the tracks and get her running. Well, we're just checking now because this is actually a DCC sound version on the test tracks. We think it's coded as number 3, which is it's a GT3, makes absolute sense. In the meantime, you've brought us two other rather fabulous models, and from now we're moving into industrial railways.
Absolutely, yes. So we've got the Scunthorpe Hunslet Bobo in the front, and what they usually pull is pairs, the Torpedo Molten Iron Ore Wagon.
And that's what's standing behind us here. And we've got a really fabulous, and this is the weathered version.
Correct, yes. So this was weathered by TMC, and I think they've done a fantastic job of it. And we do offer the weathered version. We don't charge extra on top of that. TMC will be handling that themselves.
Okay.
But we also do offer it in pristine, as it would run for about a minute and a half before it gets caked up.
Yes, because what was loaded into these wagons?
Molten iron ore.
So you have a wagon here that was designed to carry hot liquid metal.
That's correct, yes.
And this has got a party piece, hasn't it?
Yes, it does. It has a very special party piece. We actually have this torpedo DCC operated. So
that would be literally the central body rotating almost like a cement mixer.
Absolutely. Almost exactly the same, yeah.
So what era are these two items from?
So these are about mid to early 1970s.
Okay. So although a very modern looking livery on that British Steel logo, again about 40-50 years old.
That's correct, yes.
And the torpedo wagon, they did a very long run, didn't they? They didn't travel very far, but they were around for a good number of years.
Yeah.
Right, come back. Yeah, it's all gone. It's not muted.
Can we check that?
It's all gone. Pass Mike's round.
You're allowed to pass Mike, so no problem at all. So, the torpedo wagons did a much longer run, didn't they?
Yeah, they have a pretty long service. They were specially commissioned for Scunthorpe in particular because they needed something to transport such a large mass of molten iron ore across such a vast amount of space, because Scunthorpe being huge that it is. But yeah, I think it was around the 60s that the torpedoes were commissioned, yeah.
So when are we going to see these items in the shops or on your website?
They're available on our website right now, and they should be delivered around autumn this year.
So by the time we get to Worley, we will be seeing these available. So that's absolutely fantastic. What else are we seeing? I can never pronounce it correctly, but you've got a really interesting historic steam locomotive, haven't you?
Oh yes, and we all struggle with the name of it as well. Bellerophon goes by many names, many pronunciations, but she is gorgeous.
Now, what era is she from?
Late 1880s.
Well, it makes sense because let's not forget that in another 2 years, we're coming up to the 200th anniversary of the Stockton and Darlington. And it's that 19th century stock that has not been well represented to the modern world yet.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like a vastly underutilized market. Like, it doesn't feel like it's been touched at all. So bringing Boleraphon into the scene, we can hope to see more introductions, honestly.
And of course, the actual locomotive exists.
Absolutely, yeah. It's currently up at Foxfield.
And Foxfield, of course, one of our smaller preserved railways, but one that's definitely well worth a visit. What else are we seeing coming down the tracks now from KR going forward?
Oh, so much. We've got the Southern Rail 4DD. We've got the Bullied Leader as well. They're going to be both delivered this year, hopefully by the end. We also have the Palbrick wagons, the second run of the Concert Iron Ore wagons that are being delivered next week. There's so much going on. We're constantly keeping the snowball rolling. There's no stopping us at this point.
Well, it's fantastic. You know, we've gone from an industry that had one or two big players to one or two big players and a number of organisations now that are producing the highest quality niche products.
Yeah, I mean, competition is absolutely fierce, but, you know, we try and keep it friendly between everyone else. I mean, I love the stuff that Accurascale's doing, they love the stuff that we're doing, and the competition really lies in the model detail and quality, not really the choice that we make for them.
Absolutely, and then whatever is made goes down to TMC to be weathered. Look, Andrew, it's been really brilliant. I'm quite amused that your father dropped you in this from the distant reaches of Canada and Alberta, but I'm so glad you made it across the pond, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Real pleasure. We are now going to get the GT3 off. We're going to load up the British Steel Loco and the torpedo wagon, and this will be running on DCC on our test tracks. Andrew, thank you. Well, now we're just moving off steadily, and as you can see, the torpedo wagon is now literally starting to rotate in prototypical fashion in order to make sure that the liquid metal that was carried inside this would be ready for the rolling mill as it was shunted around. Very much an industrial site, very much one where different items were moved on the internal railway system. None of this you would have seen outside on BR rails, but within the confines of the works, it was the most efficient way of moving some very, very difficult hot loads. Now, Michael, what prompted you to actually do a DCC wagon, which is probably one of the first I can remember in this country?
Short answer, why not? Long answer, I feel like we'd be doing the torpedo a disservice if we couldn't get it actually to function as you'd expect, so yeah, why not?
Now, as you say, this is the weathered version. They were probably delivered pristine, but after about 10 minutes of use with hot metal, there's no question it would have discoloured. This is a wagon that was designed to work for its living. So these would be intensively... I'll try again. These would be intensively used around the steelworks for what is actually a 24 hours a day, 7 day a week process. If you've got a blast furnace running, switching them off and switching them back on again was a very time consuming process. So literally the steelworks ran 24/7, and this little consists of wagon and train would have been working the same hours, 24/7, moving that hot steel from the steelwork blast furnaces across the rolling mills or the coil works or wherever that steel was needed, in whatever form. Bear in mind also that until recently it was Scunthorpe that provided the rails on which the rest of BR ran. So that would easily have been taken from molten metal to new rails as part of the process. Now again, the speed entirely prototypical. Nobody wants to move hot metal at speed. So for that reason, that is a very, very typical speed at which you would find it moving around the works. And there would obviously have been flashing warning lights as well to make sure nobody got in the way of what was not just a hot but heavy load. Well, this is another first for us, and it is absolutely fantastic. Michael, on behalf of everybody at the MRC, thank you to KR Models for letting us demonstrate this unique piece of British railway history.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure.